Good evening. I want to call this meeting to order, the March 21st, 2024 Committee of the Whole meeting. Sorry about the gavel. I think JR broke it last time he was up here. Going to ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Francis.
Here.
Councilmember Smiley.
Here.
Councilmember Marsh.
Here.
Councilmember Crabtree.
Here.
Councilmember Craig.
Here.
Councilmember Martin. Councilmember Wilcox.
Here.
Councilmember Meek.
Here.
Councilmember Lumberger.
Here.
Councilmember Keel.
Here.
Councilmember Bell.
Here.
Councilmember Handy.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. And Councilmember Martin did reach out. He had a trip that he decided to go on, so he is not here with us tonight. So if everybody would please rise for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the minutes from the February 22nd meeting was in your packet. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move.
Accept those. I've got
Second.
Amy and I think maybe Wilcox down there. We're gonna give it to him either way. Any questions on the minutes? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving into administrative matters, and you will understand we're at a pretty good clip tonight. I've been told by Councilmember Smiley and our great city attorney
6:10.
that there's a
Blame it on me.
6:10 tip-off for a basketball game tonight. So we're going to have an update from the Small Business Commission, and Ms. Sarah Whitaker, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for having us tonight. We have several members of the commission here tonight. The majority of the year, we have really been, you all established us, and we have just been trying to figure out who we are, what is our purpose, what can we realistically tackle. And so we were slated to have quarterly meetings, and we've been meeting monthly ever since we started, just because there's so much to cover. And so I have a few notes of some things that I want to cover, but you all stop me where you have questions about any of this, and we can share more information. So we broke down our focus into 4 areas for small business. So support for small business, which we think has 2 components, an educational as well as a financial component. We would like to look at increasing our customer base for small businesses, employee retention and attraction, and the removal of barriers to doing business. So within the support for small business, we had a goal of creating a business startup guide. That's in process. Diane has the last version out right now, and so that is about ready for print and about ready to launch online. Without the guide, there is not a single source in Hopkinsville of information on where to go for different resources and different things that you need, requirements even, and opportunities for business. So as next steps with that, we're working with Amanda to launch small business communication on social media and better have an ongoing conversation about small businesses in Hopkinsville, whether that's spotlights or making a place to connect business owners and that sort of thing. One of the challenges in communicating with local small business owners right now is, as I understand it, in the current system, when you applied for a business license and all of that, there's only so much information, and it's a manual process. So the investment that's been made, as I understand it, in the new system will help a lot with small business. So today when we started, we wanted to set some baselines to see what is the Small Business Commission doing, and is that affecting small business? Are we seeing growth and different things like that? And we can't pull those stats very easily today. So our hope is that with some of that information, that would be something that could be measurable, and these things that we do and that you all put in place could be more measurable with those. So, there's a financial component, of course, to small business support, but I'll touch on that momentarily. Our ask within small business support would just be, soon we may have an ask. Right now, we are vetting what small business support as far as education and resources exists within the community, but there's an opportunity potentially for us to invest in a small business development center here as a location that's physically here in Hopkinsville. That would be probably a public-private combined investment, but we're still vetting this opportunity, but that's something that I could see in the coming months even that we might come back with an ask there. Within the area of increasing customer base, ultimately, everything that we need to work on in Hopkinsville impacts this area. While additional focus and communication about small businesses to bring awareness should help some, the larger issues impacting small businesses are we need more discretionary spend in existing residents. We need to attract more residents with that discretionary spend. I personally was surprised in my group that took a little bit of this topic, was surprised to learn that there is not a single organization in Hopkinsville that is tasked with looking at our housing strategy. So as we understand it, of course, we would love to know if we're missing something here, but we just, we know there's a deficit, but we don't know, who is in charge of defining where we go next there. And so that just seems like something that would really, really affect, more residents being here and helping support our small business. Our ask in the area of increasing customer base really at this time would just be to take seriously any future asks from the PIO for advertising funds to help increase customer base and bolster small business advertising efforts. We should explore who should be responsible really then too for a strategic plan to help growth in Hopkinsville. I feel like we're losing a little opportunity to the south in that regard, so we'd love to keep that here. Within the area of employment retention and employee retention and attraction, it goes hand in hand with everything else. That housing issue affects that, support of small businesses that can thrive and employ more. And an important area within the removal of barriers area, the first area we touched on really after some survey feedback was the zoning in the city. And nobody on the committee was familiar with the need to call before you buy or calling CDS before committing to a lease or a purchase to make sure that the area that you're about to purchase or the area you're about to lease is actually zoned properly. So we're putting that in the resource guide and additional communication, just letting people know. Again, everything sort of hinges on now we have maybe an effort behind communication to small businesses and potential small business owners. This has not really fallen in an area of discussion. It feels like it is appropriate in the removal of barriers, though. Safety downtown and the removal of the barrier to downtown business that's the transient population has come up in almost every meeting that we've had. Our only ask there would be to support pro-business policy and requirements downtown so that the heart of our city can be a thriving place, attracting those that want to come support the businesses. Okay, so now for our big ask. So this one is one where we would really like your consideration here. Again, without the data, we can't say for sure how Hopkinsville is, but in Kentucky, 99% of businesses are small businesses, right? So we can kind of extrapolate that and assume the same is true in Hopkinsville. So as a business class, one of our largest employers in Hopkinsville, and certainly one of the biggest economic drivers in our city, but we don't have any line items on the annual budget. So we applaud you for creating the commission to focus on this, and now we have an idea on how we can make a little impact here. We would like the city council to hear a presentation of the Walker Collaborative Strategy. We've heard it as a commission, and we think that with a few changes, it would be a really good blueprint for support of small business in Hopkinsville. It's already invested in, the strategy has already been completed. I think the recommendations are there, probably several of you who have already heard it, but the plan outlines, what we could do in downtown specifically, but what we would like to see is that expanded to be a citywide impact plan. We'd like it to, it covers everything: physical improvement incentives, marketing and advertising co-op programs, storefront improvements for vacant buildings, grant programs, property development incentives. The ask in the program was a starting $551,000, which was at one time denied. We'd like it studied, and probably then also the feasibility of implementation, because I don't know that that could be done in the current, how everything is, and some positive action be taken to invest in incentives for small business. What was so interesting to us is when you look at the dollar for dollar investment, when the city has previously invested, it has more than 10x'd its investment. Private funding investments, the city invested $1 million. Private funding had a return of 13, so that relationship is there. And I think as you invest, obviously we see payroll taxes increase. Obviously we see quality of life things and all of the things that impact when you invest. So that's our big ask. But what questions do you all have for us?
Any questions for Ms. Whitaker? No questions? All right, well, thank you very much for the update, and we look forward to hearing more from you in the future.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to call on our new PIO, Ms. Amanda Brunt, to give us a communications plan update.
All right. I am just going to give you a brief overview of our communication plans and what we have established so far. And during my presentation, I echo what Sarah said. If you have questions or suggestions or anything you need me to clarify, just let me know. I do want to make sure through this plan that I am meeting your expectation or what goals you guys had in mind when you put this position in place. So again, let me know if you do need anything or have questions. But as far as our communication goals, we want to be we wanted to craft a plan that had transparency. Transparency builds trust between all parties, whether it's our staff members, you as city council members, our messaging to the community. So we wanted to make sure our plan contained elements that would make our communication transparent within the community. We wanted consistent communication. Again, whether you're hearing from a staff member, from you as city council, or from the mayor, we want to make sure we've got consistent messaging across the board. I'm going to jump down to education really quick. When we can educate the community on things that are going on and empower them to make informed decisions, all of those things, when we build trust, we have consistency, we've educated them on what's going on, that's going to build that engagement. And I looked at a statistic today. I think we have 21,000 roughly adults that live in Hopkinsville. Now, this is a stretch. In a utopian world, this would be perfect. But could you imagine if we had 21,000 citizens 100% engaged in city government, knowing what's going on, making those informed decisions, the innovative ideas and the support that we would have in the community? Now, we're not going to reach that. That's, like I said, a utopian idea. But the more communication, the more engagement we're going to have from our citizens. So hopefully this plan facilitates that. So moving on to our pillars, we've divided the plan into 4 different pillars. We're going to talk about how we can better communicate with our staff and just some of the things we've put in place, how we as a staff can communicate with you as city council, how we together can better communicate with the community. And then we're going to top it off with brand awareness, because I think that's an important element that we need to talk about and move forward with in the future. Next slide. All right, talking about staff, here's some of the things that one of the things we've put in place is the city administrator's report. This is much like the report you guys get. I believe Troy started doing that. I'm not sure when it started, but it was more recently, communicating with you guys, what's going on in the city, what's going on in each of the departments. We've started sending that to staff as well, because what we don't want to see happen is things that are happening that's going to directly affect staff come out in the newspaper or news outlets before our staff members know that. So we wanted to make sure they were equipped and informed. We want to work on building a centralized intranet, and this is going to be a platform, again, that's going to house all of this information, important documents and everything, but we want to use it to do employee spotlights. I put an example of there what that might look like. I think Jane Smithfield, there we go. I don't think that's not anybody in particular, but who is she? What does she do within the city? Why is she vital? How long has she worked here? What does she love about her job? Just get to know those staff members, and do talk about city updates. We mentioned that. Team successes, all of our departments and teams are doing great work. We just want to be able to highlight those and share those across the board. When we have new employees, HR does a great job of sending that out, but this will be another platform to share that. And we've tossed around the idea of an employee text chain. When I was at the health department, this was a great way. We had all of our contacts of all of our employees across the board. If it was icy, we weren't coming in. It was just a quick way to communicate with everybody. Again, just to keep that consistent messaging. Talking about you as city council, we want to make sure, first of all, we're communicating with you. That city administrator's report, I think that's been key there. Let us know if there's anything more you guys need from us as far as communication between us and you. But together, when we're communicating with the community, one of the things I've noticed, a lot of community members don't know who their council member is. They don't even know what ward they live in. And when I came on board, I had this brilliant idea. My husband, he's a GIS specialist. I was like, I need you to create me a map where they can just go on, put in their address, and it locates where they live and tells what ward they're in. You guys were on top of it. You already had that. So, but I think the community, a lot of people don't know that's a resource that's available directly from our website. So I think some good community education, running several Facebook campaigns on the iPad up there, Find My Council Person, doing more communication to educate the community. This is how you can find out what ward you live in. This is how you can find out who your ward member is. Here's the role they serve. Here's how they can serve you. I think monthly council member highlights is another element we want to put in there on our Facebook marketing, where we highlight there's 12 months out of the year, we can highlight each month a different council member. Who are you? Why did you run for city council? That month we do a podcast with you to talk more about your ward. What's been happening this past year in your ward? What is your vision for your ward going forward? So it's another great way for you guys to communicate with the public. Podcast interviews, we've talked about that. We have the new Here in Hoptown podcast. Several of you have done that already, and I'm scheduling with several of you in the future, so I encourage you to do that. We have our newsletter that we just put out on March 15th. It was sent out to the community. It was sent to all the council members and all of our staff members. And we have in the newsletter, there's a section that says City Council Member Updates, where you can send me any information that you want to update your constituents on. You have a whole website page that I designed for you. I can put in any pictures, information you want to add. I know Jamie sent me quite a bit information for her ward. And so I craft all of that. I put that in there, and then your constituents can go on, click on your link, and see what's happening specifically in your ward. But then the entire newsletter depicts everything that's going on in the city. And we've tossed around the idea of a City Council Facebook page. I'm not exactly sure what that looks like yet, but it would be a page you all would have access to. And for instance, Councilmember Francis, if we had the Ward 1 event where we did the Bell Hooks event, it would be a great way for you to highlight that. Here's what's going on in Ward 1. I know you're not in the right place, Steve. I'm used to looking at you over here. But you've got your park that's opening up. That'd be a great way to take a selfie with the park. We're moving and shaking. Things are happening. So it's just a place where you guys would have that platform to share with the community. And talking about promotion within the community, social media is huge here. And I read a statistic, and Sarah might be the guru on this, but a healthy social media page grows by about 1.25% every month. And that means your followers are growing. And so I did the math across the board with all of our social media platforms that are listed there at the bottom. And if we grow by 1.25% in followings in each of those platforms by the end of the year, from March until December, if we increase by 1,000 followers, we're a healthy social media. We have healthy social media platforms. So that's my goal. There's several campaigns we've started on social media. They're all kind of listed there in the pictures, but we have a Stay Connected 5 or 6 or 7 times during the month. I just highlight different ways we can stay connected. The newsletter, for instance, a lot of great information. We're making it accessible to the public. They just need to know about it. So we're highlighting our newsletter, our podcast, all of our social media platforms, our website. We're starting a Did You Know campaign. We're going to be doing that several times a month. Did you know that firemen will come and check your smoke detectors and change your batteries? I had no idea. Did you know that they'll do car seat inspections? So there's a lot of great things going on. We just need the community to know about it. So we wanted to get it branded and out there on a regular basis. Neighborly and responsible Hoptown. This is just a great way to remind people how they can be neighborly and responsible. Don't take your trash cans out to the curbside and leave your lids open, because animals are going to get in there. Trash is going to be all over the street. So it's just reminding individuals how they can be neighborly and responsible. We're doing Feature Friday. Sarah touched a little bit on this, highlighting businesses the first Friday of every month. It's hosted by the Small Business Commission. Diane's kind of taking the lead on that. As the host, we just highlight different small businesses, what they're doing in the community, how they got started, getting to know them. Quarterly mayor updates. I've not scheduled this yet, but in April, I would like to schedule a mayor update where it's kind of like an Oval Office feel, sitting in his office, talking to the camera, talking to the public. Here's what we've done the past quarter. Here's what we're looking for in the future. Just a quick, brief update. And we talked about the podcast already. We've talked about the newsletter. And then the events calendar. Councilmember Crabtree, he mentioned that our events calendar on our page was missing some of the community events that we had. And people who would go to our page were maybe not seeing different community events that were happening. And then I think on the CBB page, they didn't list our city council meetings. And so we've kind of made that clear and concise when you go to our events tab on our page. All of our meetings are on there, community events are on there, and it links you to other community partners who have events calendars as well. So we're kind of a one-stop shop for anyone who wants to know what's happening. And I want to top it off with brand awareness. All these great things happening, we need a good brand for Hopkinsville. If you take a look at the logos up there, Bowling Green, of course, the Corvette Museum, Paducah, I'm sure that's a monumental structure there. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but something that means something to them. Elkton, you've got the elk. Most cities have a brand or something that depicts who they are as a city. And so that's something, you take a look at us, we use our seal for a lot of things. Every city has a seal. So we want something that's more personal to Hopkinsville, that kind of encapsulates everything that we represent and what we mean. So I'm going to be working this year on getting community feedback. Who are we as Hopkinsville? And start crafting a logo for Hopkinsville. So I think it's really important once we get the logo established. Of course, we'll create a branding guide. What are our colors? What are the fonts that we use? So if you see any of our materials out in the community, you immediately know, well, that's Hopkinsville. And so that's something that we're going to be working toward in the future. And that is just a drive-by version of everything. Does anybody have a question?
Any questions?
So if someone wants to sign up for the newsletter, how do they do it?
Yes. I apologize. I told you I'd cover that. So if you want to sign up for the newsletter, of course, on all of our social media feeds, whenever we highlight it, I'll give you a link to sign up. As soon as you go to our homepage on the hopkinsvilleky.us, there's going to be a pop-up that says sign up for our newsletter. You can even sign up for SMS messaging. And that's something I didn't mention on here, but we're going to be working toward in the future. Community updates through text messaging. For me, it's really simple. If there's something that's coming out, shoot me a text. The new newsletter's out. I can click it and look at it on my phone really quick at the pertinent information. Something else we're looking at is crisis management. And that was on one of the first slide of the components that we wanted. It's important for us to have a solid crisis management plan. And I haven't looked into that yet to see exactly what we have. So I'm well versed in it. The last thing we want to do is have a crisis with our communication when we're in the middle of a crisis. So that's something that we want to establish as well. That's on my radar.
Any other questions?
Your constituency won't get spammed. Everything they receive, they will have asked for. The council page is at no cost to the city, but we just thought, when you go back to, say, Ward 9, when we built Joe Munford, I was asking, would it make more sense if Ms. Bell was explaining to her constituency, no offense to Carter, for example, when I asked Ms. Bell, well, who is Joe Munford? Most people don't know. Why is this park important to your ward? That it can run in, we can do it concurrently with the city page. Some of the things that Amanda talked about, the did you know, and the responsibility, there has to be an ask of this. We constantly talk about what we're going to do for the public. We're not asking enough. Mike Perry can do only so much. The police can only do so much. The constituency has to meet us halfway, or we're going to fix it. Government has limitations. So we are going to put an ask on this community. Help us keep it clean. Help us police it. Help us do everything. There's only so much. We cannot love your house, your family, and your neighborhood more than you. We'll try. But this is where we're going to need your help. Your constituency will not get spammed. They'll sign up for everything you do. And if they don't want it, they can jump out of it. But we're going to need your help as well.
Thank you, Troy. Amy?
This is just more of a comment than a question. I just want to say thank you. I think this is really, really great. I'm excited about all of these things moving forward, and I think it's really important that we share information in every way possible. And I think it's a great way to keep us all connected. And I don't know, I think it kind of bonds us as a community when we all kind of feel like we're on the same page and know what's going on. So anyway, I just want to say thank you. This is exciting.
Thank you. And if any of you are all on social media, follow our page. Make sure you're following and sharing the post.
Yeah.
That's going to help our growth and help me meet my goal. So
And I want to say thank you. I did my podcast Tuesday
Yep.
before council.
I wasn't too
and-
hard on you.
Oh, no, not at all. The podcast room is great.
It's
and
awesome.
It was a very easy process. You made me, feel real comfortable. So you hadn't done it. I recommend you go in and give it a whirl. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. So.
And even if you don't want to do it, pop in and just take a look. You
And
can see
I
where
can
it
tell you,
happens.
Troy, when I came out, was standing there and he's like, wow, you've only been here 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I was like, well, I'm a first take kind of guy, I guess.
Uh-huh.
All right. Anything else? Terry?
Yeah, I would just say that was a great laydown. And I think it's extremely important for the city to have strategic communication that goes back and forth. And the community can put in their input and we can get feedback. I mean, it's a great enterprise to move forward for the city.
All right. Anything else? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great presentation. And now we're going to call on the one and only Toby Hudson to come up and give us our quarterly Public Works Department report. And I guess Toby drew the short straw this
I guess so. Morning, council. Afternoon. How is everybody? In your package, you have the quarterly report for what's happened quarterly. I want to kind of share with you what we've got coming for this year. Just some highlights. Won't take a lot of your time, but just some highlights on what's coming up based on what we've got. You'll see there that we're continuing with 98 events this year. That is 58 from our department, from Parks and Rec. That's a 35 from the Sportsplex and another 5 that we assist with. So that equals our 98 total there. I just want to be clear. We have 5 movies in the park this year. We're going to run with that. The movies in the park, you'll have 3 traditional movies in the park, and then you're going to have 2 that are kind of like a Halloween and a Christmas themed movie in the park. That's with Rachel. She's kicking that off with the department. We've got Touch a Truck coming back this year. Great event at Playground Way, so we're working on that, moving that forward. 4 Sounds on the Square. Those will be coming back. You know those as Squealing on the Square, Hoptown Idol, those type things. Those are all coming back downtown this year. But obviously, we have spring and fall soccer at DeBow. Red, White, and Ooh will continue. Hoptown Hose Down will continue on Tuesdays in July. Be looking out and go now if you're interested in the half marathon. All those registrations have opened. You're able to go in and register now for the half marathon to get the cut rates on all of that, the early rates. Sportsplex is continuing as they do. You'll see a little bit here on that. We have 11 softball or baseball tournaments scheduled for Tiebreaker Park this year. Just another full list of events. Just a brief overview of kind of what's going on. One of the big things I want to kind of say today is next Friday. Anybody know what next Friday is? Whopper of an Egg Hunt
Oh, yes.
at Tiebreaker Park. Just want to kind of promote that. It's at the athletic complex at 7:30. So if you'll mark your calendars for that. We've got age divisions from walking to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6, 7 to 8, and a special needs field. So hunting licenses are available at our department. They're available at WHOP. There's other locations that are listed there that you can see where they're located. And we've got a grand prize of $98.70. So you guys make a plan to come out next Friday night, Tiebreaker Park at 7:30 and enjoy a Whopper of an Egg Hunt at night. Another event that everybody's always curious about that we highlight is Summer Salute Festival. What's going to happen at Summer Salute Festival? Where are we at with Summer Salute Festival? Well, we're in the process now. We're hoping to be able to name our headliner next week. Hopefully next week, if we can get our contract back, that will be our Saturday night. Our Friday night is Jimmy Church. He will be coming back to Hoptown this year for our Friday night entertainment. And then Saturday night will be the headliner that we will hopefully be naming within the next week. Food and beverage vendors, they are completely sold out. They sold out within 2 weeks of opening it up. All our merchandise vendors are very limited. So there may be 1 or 2 that are left there. So if you're interested in that, get with us and we can get that squared away. Sponsorship opportunities are still available. Numerous festival areas that are still looking for some sponsorships. If you're interested, please reach out. And then obviously we work with our public works department, our fire department, our police department. All those guys help us out with that event. And not only that event, but the other events, Hop Down, Hose Down, Touch a Truck. Those are all helped by other departments within the city, and our public works department helps out a lot with that. So we want to thank them a whole lot on that. One final thing that I'll touch on here before we close is the Planners Bank Jenny Stewart Sportsplex. Just some numbers there to where we ended and where we're headed. For 2023, our estimated attendance was 150,000 that went through that building. That is pretty good. That's pretty good for our staff and what's going on. We had our first archery tournament this year. 350 participants in our first archery tournament. We had 12 basketball tournaments scheduled for this year, and we have added a youth soccer league, which brought our soccer league total up to 63 teams that we've had in soccer through that. February 24 of 2024, his revenue was the highest month on record at 80,000 and some change. Our concessions are projected. We're projections of 120,000 is what we were projecting to bring in on concessions. If you'll see in your quarterly report there, the last quarter was 70,000 in concessions for one quarter. So we're doing pretty well. We're on track to go over our projected budget. And then lastly, we've added 2 rec assistants to help them out there with all of the scheduling, allow them some break time. It's been one of the overall performance. It's helped the overall performance of the facility by keeping everybody fresh and balanced for all of our full-time staff. And then on the last page there, you'll see, if you've got it there in front of you, you'll see our team, all of our team that is there. We got our program coordinators, Rachel Wolf and Ms. Pam Rudd, facility coordinator Tony Henson, Jason Wells is our assistant program coordinator, Rachel Sanders as our marketing and events coordinator, Debbie Rundle is our executive secretary, and then Jacob and the guys there, you can name those, Brian, Jeremy, Robert, Bobby, and Ralph are all there. Those are the guys that make it happen for us. All those guys make it happen, and everybody's giving their 100% right now. So we're excited about what the year comes and what it's going to bring. So with that, I will field any questions if you may have any.
Councilmember Crabtree.
So excellent update, Toby. Thank you.
Yes.
So you mentioned people reaching out. How do we reach out to you, or how does
Yes.
the community reach out?
On that page there, if you go to our website, hoptownrec.com, you can go to our website, or you can go to the Hopkinsville Sportsplex. hoptownrec.com or hopkinsvillesportsplex.com, and you can get all this comprehensive information. I didn't tell times and dates and that kind of thing, so you can go there to get all of that. That was on the slide there that I don't think it got passed around, but that's all there for the full list of event dates and times. Give our office a call, 887-4290. We'll be more than glad to assist you with anything.
Any other questions for Mr. Hudson? And Toby, one thing you kind of touched on, and
Yes.
when I look at that list of events and Mike in the back, and I know Jason, everybody, the teamwork that we see, especially around Summer Salute, just want to tell your guys, your crew, a lot of those guys don't get to enjoy the events the way we do because they're too busy setting them up and tearing them
That's right.
down. And if you've ever been there and watched them tear down Summer Salute at midnight and later, and then you come through there the next morning, you can't even tell anything happened.
Right.
And that's a true team effort. And just, pass our thanks along from council to your crews and all the involvement with the other city departments that
An event of that
really make it
magnitude.
happen. I'd love for those guys to get to enjoy it sometime the way we do, but we don't enjoy it without them.
An event of that magnitude takes the entire city. It's not just one department, it's the entire city. Every department in the city helps in some shape, form, or fashion. So we appreciate that, and I will pass that along.
Thank you, Toby. All right, we're going to move along. I'm going to call on Councilman Don Marsh to give a brief update on any boards and agencies that you might serve on and what's been going on, Don.
Thank you. Thank you for asking. I was going to say I think it's a great addition to the agenda for Committee of the Whole to be able to give updates from, all the different wards and the boards and committees that we sit on. I sit on several of the senior boards and, Hopkinsville Christian County Senior Board, RSVP. I'm on the ECC board, so I want to focus on them specifically because it is tax season. And I think that Hopkinsville Christian County offers a great service for citizens in the city, and that's free help with their tax return. And so all they have to do is call the senior center and schedule that, and RSVP is doing a great job. I know that my hat goes off to all of the leadership for RSVP and the other boards. They just had their volunteer lunch, it was well attended. So they, just hats off to all of them. But I would encourage the citizens of the city. I know they're staying really busy with this, but even at our last meeting, they said, hey, it doesn't matter. We still have spots that are available. Be patient when you call, but they'll handle those. So I think that's a great service that, citizens of the city can take advantage of. And I want to encourage folks that maybe, putting those things off to the last moment and would like a little extra help to make sure they contact, RSVP for a little bit of help on that down at the senior center. Also, one encouraging point that I heard from ECC, and of course, we're always proud of Chief Nubian and Sarah Dragu, the director for ECC, and all of that's going on down there. But for the first time, and I think in about the last 10 years or so, we're fully staffed at the ECC. So I think we could take our hats off to them. We're really, really blessed in the city of Hopkinsville to have a fully staffed safety department, a police department, and ECC. And, so we just want to give a great thank you to everybody that's working there, developing a great culture down there. And so they've recently expanded the Emergency Communications Center itself, and will be looking to hire additional staff for that so that not only the city police department, fire, rescue, you know, the sheriff's department, all of those calls get answered in a timely manner. And so I think that's really, really important for us to do. One statement was made at a recent ECC meeting, and that was, there's always a place on the agenda for public comments. And I think the public doesn't know that those meetings are actually open. If someone has a concern or they want to voice a concern, they can actually come to the ECC board meeting and voice their concerns right to the leaders of the sheriff's department, the fire department, the police department, ECC itself. And so I just want to encourage folks to keep that in mind. But, you know, the main thing I think I could just give you as a report is, you know, they're fully staffed and they're just doing a great job. And so I join, I'm sure all of us, to take our hats off to them for doing a great job.
All right. Thank you, Don.
Yeah.
And I'm sure your placement on those more senior boards is no reflection of
Yeah,
your
it's
age at all. So,
snow on the hilltop got me something, didn't it?
So now that we're through the administrative matters, we're going to roll into unfinished business and call on Mr. Willen here to my right to give us an update on the downtown entertainment district.
I'll be very brief. Previously, you had tasked us to research other communities that had one of these entertainment destination centers and to put together an ordinance based on your input. We've done that. We've looked at Owensboro, Henderson, Paducah, Bowling Green. I mean, all of these other cities that have tried this. We've tried to take the best of their ordinances, of the way that they do it. And Melissa and her staff have also done the research on how we're going to manage this. And we think that we're very close to getting an ordinance right. We wanted to get it just right before we present it to you. You asked that it go straight to council. I hope that as early as next week, we'll have that ready. And I plan to send you out a draft so you can absorb that prior to receiving it in your packet. The main issues were the boundary, the hours, the fees, those types of things. And we're sorting through that, getting information from these other communities. And we hope what we have will be a very workable destination center that you're not going to have to come back and amend right away. This is all going to be subject to state approval. ABC has to approve it. So it could be that they look at it and say, no, it needs to be tweaked. If so, then we would bring it back. We do not have the luxury of sending it to them for pre-approval. So that's why we're trying to get it right. And that's my update. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions on that? All right. Thank you, Doug, and thank you, Melissa, for the work you are putting in on that. I'm going to roll down now to new business, I do believe, and I'm going to call on Miss Stacy Cook. Don't be shy. Start walking. We're probably halfway through the first half by now. So we're going to talk about the flood control local match participation program grant.
Yes. So in your packets is a resolution authorizing the city of Hopkinsville to apply for the local match participation program grant, which is for local flood control through the Department for Local Government. The stormwater utility has actually already applied for and been awarded 6 grants, and those are the 6 projects listed on the resolution. I'll have to submit 6 grant applications, one for each one. And the total that the Department for Local Government would cover is $218,230.56. That is right now the stormwater utilities portion of the match for those grants. So we're hoping that if we get funded, we can get the state to pay for it.
All right. Is that where we're at? Okay. So, yeah.
My only question is, and you know, I'm good to forward it on to council, but I'd like to have an idea of what project 1 through 6 is, whether that's just an email, just
Sure.
kind of describing what you're looking to do as far as work.
I can tell you right now what we're looking to do for work. So overall total, it's 17 acquisition and 18 demolition of flood-prone properties.
Okay.
The first project is 6 properties. The second project is 5 properties. The third project is 1 property. The fourth project is 2 properties. The fifth project is the demolition only property. And the sixth project is 3 properties.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. You know your stuff.
Yeah, she does.
So I guess at this point, we will entertain a motion to forward the proposed resolution to council.
I'll make it.
a
Oh, sorry, I'll
motion.
second.
I'll go Crabtree and Craig on motion in the second. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, send it on to council.
Thank you.
Item B, we are going to defer to another meeting. So we're not going to be discussing item B tonight. And that brings us to item C, the basic property maintenance code. And I see Ms. Clayton, who is, I think, a closet Cats fan, but she'll never admit it, is already at the podium.
All right, so we are bringing to you a change to the municipal order for use of the Aunt Mary Fund. We are trying to make this fund more accessible to people by removing the clause about the income limitations. And trying to get it where people who are experiencing the basic property maintenance, when they get fined, who don't have the money to fix their problem, can apply to receive assistance out of this fund. So I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys might have about our change or requested change.
Is there,
I just
Councilmember
wanted
Crabtree.
to be sure, this fund is set up for individuals and family, individual homeowners. It's not a business trying to do this. It's just individuals, correct?
That's correct.
Any other questions? Actually, I have one, just to be sure I'm clear, like what we're doing here. Basically, if we forward this out, we're going to change the MO. Basically, going to go to your office, and then the finance team, y'all are going to kind of put together something new, change the program,
Yes.
and bring it back, and then we'll take a look at it then, or do we have to bring
You
it
would like
back,
to
or-
see the application and all of that brought back?
I'll just throw that out there. What y'all think? Yeah,
The application that the homeowner would fill out to, yeah, that,
Okay.
just see what we're getting. Is that good?
'cause I'm curious as to what
Yeah.
kind of information you'd be asking for to determine homeowners' eligibility. I'm curious
Yep,
about that.
I'll be
Yeah,
happy to bring that back to you.
absolutely, thank you.
Easy enough.
You,
Don?
you want that before we send this to
I
council?
think we need to send the MO.
probably still
We would
needs to be
send the
sent.
MO up to council. That will get it in the correct office. And then when the stuff gets changed, then we kind of bring it back.
Right,
Take a
yeah, I
look
was
at it.
tracking along with that
Yeah.
as well. I mean,
I think it's great.
This is great. I'd make a motion to send it on to council.
I'll second
I
that.
got a motion from Marsh, and
Yeah.
I'll second
I'll
it.
go line
That's
burger on
perfect.
that one.
It's great.
Amy's got her name called a few times tonight.
Good work.
I'm real
All
quick,
right.
you know?
Any more questions?
This is great.
All right, all in favor of sending that to council?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, great. Now we're down to item 8, which is other. Is there any other business to bring tonight?
I have 2 things I would like to add to a future council meeting.
Okay.
The first
Or
thing,
a committee of the whole?
yes, yes.
Okay.
The first thing I would like to add to that agenda would be council pay. So we do a little deeper dive on that.
And the council pay, what do we,
I think we should change council pay from a salary to a per meeting basis.
okay. You got that. Perfect.
And just discuss it and see where it goes.
Okay.
The second thing is from our boards. Of course, the mayor nominates who he wants on boards. I would like to have council take a deeper dive on that in the areas of training, possible term limits, and even expanding the candidate pool.
Okay. I will get with the clerk after the meeting, take a look at what our upcoming meetings look like, and find a good place to put both those in, and
Sounds
I'll
good?
let you know when I'll just probably give you a call tomorrow if that's okay. All right, perfect. Anything else? Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I
Second.
got Smiley, I got Crabtree, all in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned.